Good evening, Fredonia. You're listening to The Local Lowdown on WCVF 88.9 The Voice and WDVL 89.5 The Inferno. Hi, I'm Mel, your co-host, executive producer, and promotions lead.
Hello, what is up? I am Jordan, and I am your other co-host and your A&R lead.
Hey yo, it's me, Alex, in Prade, once again making sure all the microphones are sounding good, and let me tell you, they're sounding good.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems in a group effort to promote and showcase the local music scene here in Fredonia, but also West New York at large, and also Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to The Local Lowdown.
On this episode, we have our guest for the week, Pinkshift. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
Good.
So why don't you guys start off by introducing yourself, the role you have in the band, and any backstory of how this all started?
Okay, so my name is Paul. I play guitar in Pinkshift. Yeah, go for it. I'll start it after.
I'm Ashrita. I'm losing my voice. And I sing in Pinkshift.
My name's Myron, and I play drums in Pinkshift.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Well, thank you guys for the introductions.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We all met in college in around 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Ashrita and I were in our senior years of undergrad. Myron was a junior. That's when we met. And Ashrita and I just kind of started out just kind of like making covers, jamming, eventually writing some originals. The scene at our school really wasn't that big.
It was non-existent.
It was not, okay, it was non-existent, yeah. There were like no local bands really, and no like school effort to really like
There's a lot of local bands in Baltimore, just not
at our school.
at our school.
Our school just had a lot of talented classical musicians and jazz musicians, but no
Nerds.
I respect it, but
Yeah.
Gotcha. So there was a music school there, I assume.
There's a conservatory.
Okay. Gotcha.
And yeah, Ashrita and I had some originals built up, and we kind of wanted to make them or play them full band. So we sought out a drummer, and we ended up landing on Myron because he was in our school's practice room playing My Chemical Romance.
I was teaching myself drums at this point. So like, they actually had a poster to try to attract drummers to text them so they can like jam and see if they're like a good fit. And I actively ignored them because I was still very bad.
Right.
How long did it take? How long did it take you? Like, I'm only saying it because I'm learning drums myself.
I started like 2017, started consistently playing 2018.
Like with the band.
Yeah,
Right.
started consistently practicing myself in 2018, and then a few months later, that's when I met them in the band. And honestly, you can get by after like a few months on, like if you practice consistently with the songs that you want to play, you know.
Like our song Mars, I feel like when we first started practicing, you couldn't really play it super easily, but that changed within a couple months.
Yeah, like I was struggling. I was trying to practice it in my head because I had like a big long meeting the first day we were supposed to jam together, and I was in my head just trying to go over the song, like so I can not like mess up in front of these guys that I didn't know.
Your audition.
Yeah, literally.
Myron was
So scared.
phenomenal though, and it's not like he was auditioning. Like not like there was like many other people.
Yeah.
Top contender.
Yeah. People have really gravitated to that story of Myron playing, is it Helena? And My Chemical Romance in the practice room. Like, I see that, like, on so many articles. I'm like, is it funny to see that little story written everywhere so much?
Yeah, because it literally brings me back. Like, I just play, like, the mental memory of, like, we were sitting in a different practice room. Like, the practice rooms are adjacent to each other. So you have one person playing drums in one room, and then a poor soul practicing violin in the next. And the drums would, like, if you're practicing violin, there's, like, the soundproofing is, like, very minimal.
Right.
And so...
So you just hear him just going off over there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And, yeah, so I forgot what part. I forgot how I knew it was Helena, but it's iconic song.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like you got scouted.
Pretty much, honestly.
Yeah, we would sit outside the practice space for the drum practice room, just like whenever we didn't have class, just like listening. And whenever there wasn't, it was normally like somebody playing like jazz drums, but then it was Myron.
Yeah.
Did not know what I was doing, but it was emo, so.
Right. Well, in terms of putting yourself out there with putting posters up, kind of something we were talking about on one of our recent episodes, but it's always good to put yourself out there, especially on the college campus, where other people might be interested in doing that. So it's always interesting to hear how bands come together and start forming their chemistry and everything like that.
Yeah, like we met on the basis of music. We weren't friends before. Like we became friends through the band.
Wow.
Right. And what would you say, what were some of those things you guys bonded over at the beginning?
honestly, it sounds kind of lame, but like just school. Kind of, we were all in STEM.
Yeah.
And you know, like we were all just kind of going through it. Some of I mean, Myron can speak for himself with respect to like wanting to go to med school and stuff. But like Myron and Ashrita were on track to like apply to med school. Myron did apply to med school. So I know we all were like really tight over that.
Also the same major. We're the same like department.
Yeah, me and Myron.
But that kind of like just kind of like homework, the grind of just, you know, doing schoolwork, kind of low-key kind of brings everybody together at our school at least.
Yeah.
Which kind of says something. It's very they push a lot
It's
of
like
schoolwork.
really deep in the culture there, where it's like you're always going through something like academically, so that's how people get close or like meet other people is through this like shared suffering, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that
Trauma
uncommon to be
bonding.
like, hey, you had a bad experience with this teacher? So did I. Let's talk.
Yeah.
But that being said, how has like the journey been thus far? Because obviously we're talking about like polar opposites, you know, considering where you guys are now. You guys started off with, you know, going towards medical and chemical engineer degrees, and now we're like on the other side. How did the process kind of go to like, yeah, we're practicing, yes, we're also doing or trying to pursue this career. How did it kind of kick off where it's like, let's do this one a bit more? Which one, I guess, would be more important in that sense?
In terms of like leaving school and all that stuff, that was pretty much like a flip of a switch, because it kind of happened for us over the pandemic, because like that we had that song Therapist, and like it just caught on Reddit.
Yeah.
And then we were getting like a bunch of emails like, do you have a manager? Like, do you have an agent? Like all this shit. And we're just like, oh my God, we're just like people. Like, so that was kind of like oh damn, like this is like something that we could actually do. Otherwise we probably would have just like gone to grad school and just like done our thing.
I was gonna say that the pandemic really just created a space and time for a lot of things to happen that normally wouldn't happen.
Right.
Like for me, I moved back home. It was my graduating year. Like I was in my last semester of college when everything shut down. So I went home and was like, okay, now I can, I guess, study for the MCAT. And then I was like doing the whole like med school application thing for that entire year essentially. But then like things like really became apparent that this was like a viable thing that we can like actually pursue, and we were getting this really rare opportunity. And I was like, I can apply to med school, but we can't really like apply to like gain.
Tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You can't, you know, especially like at our size at that time. So, so I chose to be here. And I mean, at first there was like a lot of cognitive dissonance, and like my parents didn't really understand. You know, we all have immigrant parents, so it was kind of out of left field for them. But
Still is.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to like question it, but I'm sure it would have come up. My parents also being like coming here really, really young, but I'm glad you like brought it up, because I think it's something that is always like taboo. Like, let's talk about our future, and it's never like a one-winded answer of like, you know, it has to be like this and this, because so much stuff happened in college, but for them it's like, you do good, and that's what we want. And, you know, obviously trying to explain them, at least personally, anything entertainment, me being a business and music industry major, trying to explain like what I want to do is still very like what's going on. So it's interesting to hear how you guys are, or how it kind of came about in that sense.
Yeah, like those aren't even really industries that are viable to go into. I think for my parents, like they didn't even know anybody or heard of anybody who's ever done that before. I think it's the same for all of us. So it's like explaining how the music industry works when we don't even get it ourselves.
Yeah. I think as they learn as the years have gone by, they've kind of learned more and more how we get paid or how we can pay our own rent with music. Because it's just, they're not really scared of music. They're just scared of like the unknown, as a lot of people are.
It's like, I've done enough. I've already gone to like a different country. Like, you're going to do this now?
Yeah. You know, like it's hard to, I think the fear is like seeing the end, because they're seeing all these changes, like their children not wanting to go to med school anymore, their son like leaving their full-time job, their full-time consulting job, and it's all these changes and they don't know where it's going to end. Like also we don't know where it's going to end. We don't know how far the span is going to go. We don't know anything. And,
life is a highway.
Yeah, it is. So I think that's like the biggest thing that they kind of deal with. It's just not knowing, because with med school, you know where it's going to end. They're going to be a doctor.
Yeah. With
like chemical engineering, you know you're going to get this job. And
you know you're going to have this salary for like the rest of your life with health benefits.
I literally had this conversation with my dad like the other day where I was explaining to him, I was like, yeah, like medicine and medical school would be so easy for me like cognitively, because it's just year by year, you know what's going to happen.
You have like the next like 50 years of your life planned out if you're doing that kind of thing.
It's just set out, and you just have to do what is tasked to you, essentially. But with this, it's a lot more, you have to actively think of your next move, and there's a lot more creative decision in terms of like what you want to create, which like opportunities you want to take, you know. So it's a lot less straightforward, but I think it's a lot more rewarding.
Yeah, well, it also seems that all of you are on the same page and kind of understood like the potentials, and like stuff is going to happen and whatnot. But again, everyone seems like they kind of understood what's going on. But at the end of the day, what I like to say to myself is like, you know, our parents just don't want us to get hurt. But at the end of the day, like we know what we kind of want and know better ourselves what's going on. So, you know, as long as we can kind of go on that route in a manner that, you know, you have like friends and people supporting you, then it's gonna work out, you know?
And like, I guess like the last thing I'll say about it is that like, I think there's a lot of just like, I don't know, first gen guilt that comes with like disappointing your parents when they worked like so hard to make your life. But like, I think an auntie said this to me like at some point, like at like some kind of function, and she was like, I had just come back from like our first tour, and she was like, you know, like, I know that you're doing all this and like your parents might think whatever, and like, you know, they're kind of like in it so they can't really see it, but like they came here so you could do this kind of shit. You know, sorry, this kind of stuff. Like they came here so that you could take any opportunities, whatever opportunities came for you. So even if they don't see it right now, like this is why you're here. So like we all are like really like, we love our families, and like we're really like involved in our families, and like we like whenever we're in Baltimore, like whenever we're off tour, Paul's like basically in New York like all the time. Like
visiting the parents.
Yeah, like family's a big deal to us. So like keeping them like in the loop, and like keeping them like making sure like they know that we respect them, and like all that stuff. It's like also like a huge part of the band, and like how we come across to like other people too, because it's like we come across as ourselves and like the cultures that we come from, and we try to carry that into like this rock world, like, you know. So to do that, we like stay connected to our families pretty well, but it is definitely like a 24/7 job.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit about your first EP release, which was Saccharin. Were those some of the first songs that you had written together?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of those were written. They were all written over the course of like a couple of years. Like some as early as 2018, and some as late as like December of 2020, when Myron was already in the band.
Yeah.
I know songs like On Thin Ice and Mars were songs that Ashwith and I worked on when we first met. And Rainwalk was like a song that was written in 2016 when I was like a sophomore in college. And that was a song that was just like an instrumental that was just like sitting in my hard drive. And I asked Ashwith if they wanted to slap some lyrics on that, and they did. And it just, what it is today is what it was. And then Toro and Therapist were songs that we worked on when Myron joined. So it has like a mix of like, right. The writing process wasn't the same for every song. Right. Because the band was also forming and developing at that point too.
They're all songs that like we kind of developed, I feel like, before Pinkshift was actually a thing.
You used to go by a different name, right?
Yeah. We used to go by the name Sugar Crisis. Gotcha. So we wanted to name the EP something like reminiscent of that. That's why it's Saccharin.
And is that also why there's a lollipop on the cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, we sometimes try to play shows as Sugar Crisis to get around like the agents in the industry and all that just to like be able to play in Baltimore more. But yeah, it's like our little like it's a little lore.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. In terms of the album cover with the lollipop with the knife through it, who did the artwork and what was the inspiration for that?
So
I like sketched up a little thing. Okay. And then because we were coming up with ideas for this album art, and then we have our friend Grace who does like really, really cool like pop art. Type art. And we like showed it to her, and she came up with the design that you have on the EP, the cover right now. So shout out to Grace.
Shout out to Grace for at Grace Fine Art. Yeah, I think Myron actually did a lot of sketches. Both Ashwith and Myron did a lot of sketches, and then we kind of like take them to other artists to like digitize it and kind of make it.
Because neither of us really know how to work an iPad.
Literally just doodle. So everything's just a really scratchy pencil sketch. Yeah. And then we get it to someone to make it good.
Yeah. Do you see yourself as being someone that's inspired visually a little bit? Even if you're just doing some sketches, does that play into some of the music at all?
I don't know. I don't think so. For me anyway. Whenever like I listen to music anyway, I have like a lot of like visual images in my head. But when we're writing, I don't know if I get any inspiration, or at least like a lot of inspiration from visuals that I see. Okay.
I feel like I do. For me, though. Yeah. I feel like I like to use like symbolism and like I like to see how lines move, like, lyrical lines. Just like they move differently depending on the different songs. Like I like the way that like in Arctic Monkeys, like how what's the singer's name?
I don't remember the singer's name either.
Alex
Turner. The way that Alex Turner.
Yeah, he has solo stuff too. Right?
Yeah, the way that Alex Turner like wrote lyrics is something that was like inspiring for like Burn the Witch, which is a song that's on our last album. But like sometimes we try to write songs more like when we first started writing songs, I think when like even in the beginning, like before anything, like whatever, we'd just be like, oh, like we should write like a song that kind of sounds like Nirvana or something. And then we just like write that and like, oh, we should kind of like write a song that kind of sounds like, I don't know, like this or like that. Destroy Boys.
Yeah. Like that. That's why Therapist came to be. Because we were playing a cover in our shows in 2019. We were like, this song is really fun to play. Why don't we have a song like that? Yeah. And then we're just like, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we just sat down in Paul's apartment, kind of got things started.
Yeah, like that song was written and Therapist written in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
So silly.
Wow, you answered.
And now it has like 9 million plays.
Yeah, we have no idea what's in it.
So something
you just
like that.
Answered my question. I was like, so how is the songwriting process? I mean, I'm sure it varies between songs, right?
Yeah, I mean, for Therapist specifically, we kind of, that one's pretty rare because normally we don't really sit down like, all right, let's do this. But that night was pretty much just that. We kind of just sat down in my apartment and like that first like verse progression, I just kind of looped that, and then Myron kind of just had his idea on drums. I programmed the drums for that song just for the demo, and then Ashrita already had some lyrics like written that they had to like repurpose, like
Yeah, I had to take the bus to school, so I would just like write stuff on my phone in the bus. So I was just like, oh, this one kind of fits.
Yeah, I guess like the final song wasn't written in 10 minutes. Like there's like obviously like some like edits and some production that we kind of like had to work in there, but the concept of it was kind of pretty fast. It's one of our fastest songs that we've written.
Yeah.
No.
No.
It was, yes, it is a fast song, but the time it took to write was fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought you meant.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about your influences in terms of grunge, alt rock. I even get some pop punk and hardcore in there too. It's definitely a blend of things. Some of those genres are kind of having a resurgence. We've seen pop punk get a lot of mainstream attention lately, hardcore getting a lot of attention, maybe not mainstream, but attention in general. Do you guys feel that those genres getting more of that affects anything that you do in Pinkshift?
I mean, like, whichever label they want to slap on us, we'll take it.
Yeah,
So it works.
right.
We've
But-
had a lot of labels, like actual like labels,
Record
Not, like,
labels.
not the companies.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm talking about
Gotcha.
like music genre labels.
Yes,
And we just look at them and we're just like, oh, okay.
right, because it is a blend.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all just introduce ourselves as rock because,
Sounds good.
you know, rock,
like-
punk.
But, like, yeah, like, all the genres coming up, it kind of, like, I feel like, you know, you just listen to more shit. There's more new bands to listen to. And
Right.
it's like, damn, I like how they did that. Let's steal it.
Literally.
Also, when people listen to music, I think everybody listens to music, like listens to a song differently because everybody has different influences themselves, whether they are a musician or not. So, you know, you might listen to a lot of Turnstile and listen to like a Pinkshift song. It's like, oh yeah, that's very Turnstile-y because I did that. But
Yeah.
someone else might listen to like another genre of a band and listen to that same part and be like, oh, that sounds like that band.
Right.
Yeah, like, we started getting, like, a lot of, like, oh, my God, like, this is, like, No Doubt. And I'm like, well, I listened to No Doubt, but I never intended on putting that in here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and what you were saying with Burn the Witch being inspired by Arctic Monkeys, like, I would have never thought that. Like, so
Yeah.
that's exactly what you're talking about, Paul. So, yeah.
That being said, would you see, what would you see as a future for, I mean, these genres in comparison to like what would you guys, or what you guys label yourself as in terms of genre? Is that something that like you guys would continue to pursue a certain genre? Is there kind of up in the air in terms of how you guys make music?
we don't really think about genres at all when we write.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I think we just write songs that we like, and then they just have the characteristics of the influences that we have at the time, and those just happen to come from like
Yeah, that's a
certain
really good
pool
way
of
to
genres.
answer that. Yeah.
Every
Nice.
song has to pass like a vetting process for all three of us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
if we write something like, you know, if I write like a basic like, you know, like power chord and like vocal thing, Paul has to like be like, well, I think I'd like it if it sounded like this, and I'm just like, I'm not sure. And then Myron will be like, oh well, like what if we add this kind of like thing to it? And it's like, okay, maybe I'll like it then. You know, kind of like that. Like we all have to like
Okay.
stuff like that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. There's going to be a lot of bleeps in this one. Sorry, Paul.
It's just for me. I'm sorry. But yeah, they go through like a vetting process. So all of us have to be like, yup, we're totally happy with this before it even like goes into like the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was also like a question because I feel like we've asked most bands that we've had on the show, how is the process? And usually we have like, again, there'd be times where maybe two of the artists are like, wait, no, we didn't release the song for a couple months because we just couldn't get an agreement. But I like to, you know, ask bands how they kind of come to a conclusion, like literally for anything, for music, for tunes, for rhythms, for lyrics, for cover art and stuff like that. But I mean, is it usually like a quick process? Like as soon as you guys run it through each other, it's like, okay, is it?
Yeah, we like to keep it pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we all run it by each other, and
Right.
everyone's pretty quick to kind of like add to it or say they agree with it. Also, everyone's pretty much. I think a lot of us are also very open to just letting the song kind of develop in its own way. So when we bring a song to the band, we're kind of like detached from this notion that like, okay, this song is like the way I brought it to the band, it's going to be like this. Like you bring it to the band knowing that, all right, it's going to be changed in somehow.
Right.
So with that mentality, it kind of streamlines the process of, you know, how things are changed, how the song ends up sounding.
Right.
And also I think it just makes us more agreeable too, because you know that when you bring it to the table, it's like it's everybody's at this point.
Yeah, I always say that, like, at least, like, songs that Pinkshift puts out, none of us individually would ever put out something that sounds like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
Because you have
It's a
all
blend.
your own perspectives, influences,
Yeah.
skills.
Like,
Comes
Pinkshift
together.
songs don't exist without the three of us.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, in terms of your album that came out last year, Love Me Forever, first debut album that you guys ever made, any of you, but you made it all together like we're talking about. How is the creation process different than the EP for that?
Well, I think everybody, like all three of us, have written on it completely.
Yeah.
I think it was written during the pandemic too, which is, I'm sure, influenced feelings, lyrics.
Yeah, I think lyrics are the only thing that's not up for grabs. I'm just like, yeah, guys, these are the lyrics.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
It was like a long period of time, I guess, that these songs were being written because
Like a couple of years, because they were all the first songs that all three of us had written on, besides like Therapist and Toro, but Toro was written around the same time that we were writing the album.
right, yeah, because like I remember we had early recordings or like early jam sessions for like Get Out in 2021 summer, I think, like before our very first tour.
I think we were playing it on the Mannequin Pussy tour.
We were, yeah.
Yeah, we were.
That and Cherry. Those were pretty early on. And then I know that Love Me Forever started as an instrumental that Paul had, and then I had drum ideas for that. And then from there, we just kind of developed that, and that was one of the later songs, I think.
Yeah, and then like I guess the stark difference was In a Breath, which I had written like before, like 2018 or something. And just like, we're like, okay, I think this is a good time. I think this is a good place for
Is
it.
that the piano one? So you'd had that one for a while.
Yeah, it's like 5 years old now.
Yeah. Gotcha. Do you see yourself making more songs in that vein, or
Yeah,
definitely?
definitely.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not exactly like that song, but that wanna like include more like piano, more instruments, more stuff.
More stuff.
More stuff.
I did want to talk about one song in particular from the album called Get Out. I'm actually going to read from the page because I think it is very well written. Again, shout out to our A&R team. They did
Thanks, guys.
chef's kiss on these questions. So you often dedicate it to the Supreme Court as it is a blatant attack against the white supremacist and patriarchal colonizers of our bodies, homes, and ways of life, and it's an expression of pure and unapologetic rage that stands in defense of our autonomy. What has it been like performing this song and witnessing people connect with it and kind of taking the message from it?
It's so cathartic.
Oh, it is.
It's like, it's so easy to catch on, even if you've never seen us before, if you've never heard us before, like, everyone's like, yeah, get out of my face. So it's like, yeah, like, it's very cathartic. I feel like everybody really connects with that song, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely gets them going.
Where does that usually fit in the set list?
Yeah.
It's actually it's kind of first.
Now
Okay.
we're playing it, yeah.
Usually like in the first couple songs that we
We
play.
play it second now.
Yeah.
As of like right now.
Kind of like how it's placed on the album.
Yeah,
Nice.
right.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way to start.
Yeah, we I think we played like Shaky Knees Fest on like a tour last year, and we opened the stage at like 10 a.m. with that song.
Good morning.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But I
That's the
think,
reality.
I think even though there's a very clear definition of like what the song's about, especially when Ashritha introduces it in the set, I think it's a song. The chorus is something that like people just can apply to whatever they are feeling at the time, and it's fun sometimes looking out into the crowd, and there's a lot of people that are looking at you and they're like screaming, "Get out of my face with you," which is fun. But then there's some people that are just like eyes closed, looking in the air, just screaming it. It's just like, I wonder what they're thinking about. Like, I wonder what they want out of their face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like also it's just like, it is all those fancy words, but it also it boils down to kind of like what I think my goal is, at least as a band, is to empower others to take up their own space, especially people like, like us, like me. It's just like, I think the thing that was in my head with those lyrics was like, I was sitting on campus once, and like there's this big grassy area, and I was just like hanging out with my friend, and like these two like bros with like a football just started throwing the football over our heads, and I'm just like, wow, like right where we are sitting, and I'm just like, what is it like to feel so entitled? Sorry, what is it like?
That one's okay. You can let that one fly.
I like that one.
To feel so entitled to space that you were just not, without even thinking, throwing this over our heads. And I was like, wow, I want to feel like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's wild. That I remember. I love that story.
Do you still actively think of that story when you perform on stage, or is that not running through your mind anymore?
Maybe. I don't know.
The essence of it, maybe?
I think I black out during sets, honestly.
Okay. Well, there's one more thing I want to mention about this album before we move on. You guys worked with Will Yip on it, who has a very nice hardcore emo punk resume background. Oh, yeah. What was it like working with someone that has good recognition for that and getting into the studio with someone like that?
It's a privilege. I'm sorry, I
think
swear
we all
too
just
much.
clicked immediately, because before we even started working together with respect to music, we just kind of met up and vibed, and him also being a first-gen immigrant, we just connected, and I think he understood before even just tackling the songs and recording the songs. He understood us as just people, where we're coming from.
Yeah,
we don't have any music connections. We're totally new to this industry and this space. Yeah. And it's scary and it's daunting that now we're tasked to record an album in 3 weeks per se. We had very little time to record this album.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so to record 12 songs in 3 weeks,
when we had never recorded in a studio before.
It was the vibes were amazing just because he understood that as a, just as a person. I think him just having his immigrant parent background as well just made us feel a lot more like, it's less like, all right, we're less kind of dealing with this industry person to achieve this task, but more it's just like, all right, here's someone that can like truly make us feel comfortable.
And like with all those influences and with everything that he works on, like the way he thinks about music really does align with the way that we think about music. So like a lot of times in pre-pro, like the pre-production, like where we're just kind of reorganizing the songs and like seeing like, oh, like blah, 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 like this should go here, this should go there, like this thing that you wrote here, it's actually a chorus, things like that. Like I feel like we're on the exact same wavelength and we collaborate really well. Like he also just like, I have a lot of like grunge influences and stuff, and he loves that. Like he really listened to a lot of like 90s stuff. Obviously that's when he grew up. So like we have a lot of like the same influences, like Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden and all that. So and like with that, on top of the fact that he's done like all the emo stuff, like and like hardcore, like Turnstile.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it really reins in all three of our influences really well. So it's a really good match, honestly. It's been very fluid, super effortless. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he also do production on your newest single, To Me, as well?
Yep.
He did.
He did.
Yeah. What was the creation process for that one? How long have you had that one in the works?
That one was started with Ashrita. They kind of had a progression, and since like last fall, and actually on our headliner tour last fall, we kind of spent spent a song's worth of time just jamming over it. So a lot of people who came to shows from that tour actually heard it kind of in its creation.
Yeah.
But it was just a jam. We were just jamming over that.
Yeah.
And then, once we got off tour, we kind of like sat down and reworked it a little bit more.
Okay.
I think one of the only like live recordings we had of it was this one video that I took myself in LA when we played that song. So, I mean, at least for me, like when I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to play and we were like trying to MIDI it out on Logic, I was looking at that video and being like, all right, what exactly was I playing here? Because it was changing like every single night because we were just like having fun with it.
Yeah, we pretty much wrote it like on tour live on stage every night.
Just
There was
trial
no
and error
like,
every single time. Yeah.
yeah.
There was
You're
no set.
watching a practice right now.
Literally.
pretty much.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the meaning of the song, you said it's your very first love song. What is the inspiration for writing a love song now?
I think like, well, personally, like I write songs to get through stuff. Like when I first started writing songs, I never really intended for anybody to hear them. And honestly, even when I met Paul and we started writing together, I was like, nobody's gonna hear my songs, but like Paul had this like capability of putting them into like a full band format because he knows how to work Logic. He plays guitar, he plays drums. So I was like, okay, cool. So like this could actually happen. But like in regards to like how it, to me came about, like I think Love Me Forever was like a big, sounds pretty.
Someone was whistling in the background for reference, and they were killing.
Yeah, no, but Love Me Forever was like a big step for me, at least, to like get through a lot of trauma and like a lot of like the feeling of just like not feeling lovable and like all this stuff. And like I think that's why it's called Love Me Forever, because I feel like that album really taught me and like really helped me learn how to like love myself, like regardless of all of the bad things that have happened in my life, or even like embracing the good things that have happened in my life a little bit harder. So like to me kind of came like I think in February right after that, and it was just really effortless, and it was just like after it was done, I was just like, okay, yeah, if the band wants to pick up the song, and like the band picks up the song, and we'll do it. But if they don't, then like it's still a song, and it's still like that's what it means to me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like a big hug.
Yeah, that's so nice.
It does feel like that. Yeah. I feel like looking at like the lyrics and the song overall, again, like maybe no one can particularly like recognize that it's supposed to be like a love song for someone or like for you in particular. But how do you think like the perception of this song has been? Because obviously like a lot of artists write songs for themselves. Like this is a song to heal me, but obviously everyone else listening to it like takes it in like a bajillion of ways. So I mean, how has the perception of either like performing that live or just getting feedback?
It's cool. I like honestly like every time we release a song, I think for a couple days I feel pretty weird and like awful and strange. And then I kind of like go, it's like a cycle. And then it's like, okay, this song is not mine anymore. It's like theirs, you know, it's everybody else's.
Okay.
So whatever anyone thinks the song is about, that's what it's about, because that's what songs are for. So like, I think that's like a conscious choice when releasing a song. It's like, this song is now, it's no longer mine, you know? So that helps, I guess. It's like, also it's just like, I am protected by my band because my personal little weird demo of it is always going to be mine.
Right.
Yeah.
But the version that we release is ours, and that's what we put into the world, and that's like so fortified and very like protected. And safe. So it's like, yeah, like that's kind of like how it, so like I think people really like it and people take it to be whatever they want it to be. And it was the same with In a Breath. That was really weird for me. But like people wanted to get the lyrics tattooed and all that. And I'm just like, well, if this means something to you, then that's so amazing and great and wonderful. And I'm glad that was able to do something for you. Because that's what the song's for. And so I was like, okay, if it could do that for me, it could do that for somebody else.
Right.
It's kind of like my perception of it.
I think that is so great to hear because I've only counted a couple times, but most artists are like, you know what, once the song's out to the world, it's no longer mine. But there's definitely been like artists before where it's like, this is kind of the song where I've intended to put like this meaning into, you know, and obviously people spend so much time on it. So they're like, I want this to mean this thing. But I think I definitely agree with the way that, you know, you look at it that way. Because again, that's why music and lyrics and stuff get like passed down and are so influential to other people because it takes on different meanings as it passes down. Jesus.
Yeah, if I were to try to control what people thought the song was about, I'd probably drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the performance aspect of Pinkshift. You guys have been on some tours lately. Went on tour with Spaced and Black Vapor and hit up a bunch of spots. I thought it was pretty cool. You guys went to Burlington, played the Furnace. I wasn't there, but I have some friends that are around there. So what was it like doing some of those smaller shows?
I mean, it is completely different.
Yeah.
In the sense that I feel like everybody is a little bit. I'm sorry. Everybody is no one's in the mindset of like a venue show type of thing. Everyone's completely. I feel like feels freer. Just kind of. I'm trying to not to curse. Just to kind of like do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know, there's no. Especially in like those dark basements, I feel like I saw people just kind of dancing and screaming because no one's watching you.
Right.
It was also like really inspirational to be on a tour with the bands that we were on tour with.
Nice.
Because they're so different from like the bands that we've toured with in the past. So like Black Vapor is like a noise rock band from Baltimore, and they really do whatever they want, and their performance. Sometimes people would come up and be like, what even was that? Like, I've never seen that before. And, like, so seeing that and then seeing Spaced, you know, like, they're hardcore, but they're also just as young as we are. So it's, like, cool to, like, relate on some aspects of, like, the industry and, like, the scene and, like, our experiences because they're so parallel because we're not necessarily in the hardcore scene. So it's, like... It was really cool to like relate on some of that stuff, like relate on like how Lexi does crowd work and all that, and like I don't know, it was cool. It was a different thing. It was a lot of learning.
It's really funny because like our first show on this tour felt kind of weird coming out of that because
you're playing with different types of bands.
Sold out show in Worcester, Massachusetts, right? I don't know how big the venue was, like what the venue cap was, but. Doing that after doing a week long of really small, intimate, very different energy type shows, it was kind of like whiplash, and we're just like, whoa, you know? But I loved those shows. There's a much freer energy to them, and I think we all had to do something different, you know, versus like these like big venue shows.
Yeah.
To like really connect with the people that were just like right like in front of us.
Like you can't be like, repeat after me in a basement, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Like for example, like we usually play to like a metronome for like a majority of our songs, but for like these basement shows, we were just going off of my timing. You know, or just actually whoever starts the song actually, whatever instrument starts the song sets the tempo, and that ebbs and flows too throughout the song in a really natural and really cool way. There's certain like points in songs that we want to really make really dramatic, so we just slow them down like a lot, and it's like, really cool.
Yeah, it's like I feel like that tour really like showed us stuff that we want to take into those big venue shows. Like I think it made us bolder.
I think, because when you're in a basement, you're in those really small DIY types of venues. There's no lights on you or anything. You're just kind of like, even as a performer, like you're allowed to just kind of, I mean, I felt a little bit more free to just do random stuff, even just like improvise on some songs. We kind of do that now at these bigger venues, just because, you know, kind of when the lights are not on you 100% of the time, you're a little bit more confident to step outside what you would normally do.
And with the pandemic, we didn't really get a chance to do a lot of small shows because we jumped into a big following, which is a blessing, but I was also like, we didn't get to do that. You know?
Especially because you said you didn't really come from a scene either.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all been learning.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I'm also sure it's definitely different because being on like same level, you know, like basement versus a stage, you know, obviously you may be stepped up a bit higher on a stage versus a basement. And we did have like a basement house, RIP North Pole Strip Club.
Shout out, Spaces play there.
No longer around. The house has been played in a lot of times over the years, and it's no longer safe. But that being said, I think a lot of basement shows just creates for a lot of intimate experiences.
I love like flat ground.
Yes.
Yes. Because there's so much like fluidity between the stage and the crowd. You can like go out there, they can come in. Right. Like, there's a conversation that's very easy to have.
Right.
Well, talking about shows and performing live, you guys just started off a new tour with Origami Angel and Sweet Pill. How have the first shows been for you guys?
Whiplash, but really
cool. Really awesome. Yeah.
They're incredible. Both Origami Angel and Sweet Pill are pros. They are. They were. I mean, I think the first day was kind of tough. We didn't get to really see them because we had like a weird day. We got to the venue like 30 minutes before we played. But yesterday, or no, 2 days ago,
it's already blending.
Oh man,
we got to see them all up close.
Yeah,
see them rock it, and so far, I mean, also the music. You know, everybody vibes with each other. This is also our first tour. I guess our second tour, but our first long tour with other bands that are roughly the same age as us. So the vibes were kind of different day one. Not better or worse, but, you know, it's different interacting with a band that's, you know, your age versus one that's like 10 years older.
Right.
So,
I was like, I don't know who I was telling on the first day, but I was like, why am I so comfortable already? You know, I was talking to Pat, the drummer of Origami Angel, the first day. And this is like my first time meeting him in person. We were just like talking about Dragon Ball Z for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, this hasn't happened on any other tour yet. So I don't know. It's really cool. It feels really good.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's probably a lot of crossover, similar experiences and stuff like that of being of the same age versus also could be a lot of different things. But is there anything you guys are looking forward to on this tour in particular?
Well, tonight's going to be really weird because I'm not singing.
Yep.
So that's going to be cool.
I'm going to figure that out.
We're like doing nightcore versions of our songs, so live band, but my vocals on tracks, and I'm going to be playing guitar. And then I think Zaina from Sweet Pill might be singing Therapist.
Yeah, and you said Lexi, nice.
Yeah, Lexi's going to come up for a song too.
Yeah, quick shout out to them. They used to host the show, actually.
Wait, really?
So,
Yeah.
Never met them, but it was before
I
went to school here.
Oh, that's cool.
There's just been like a line of hosts passed down.
Local legends.
Yeah.
I think we're meeting up with
I'm
them
excited.
later.
I'm looking forward to Ashritha getting their voice back.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll be nice.
I'm looking forward to playing Soundstage in Baltimore.
Okay.
That's I mean a lot of love to Autobar. That's our home spot where we play a lot of shows, but it's exciting to kind of play Soundstage.
That's going to be so cool. We've seen a bunch of shows at Soundstage, but we've never played there. So this is going to be really, really cool.
I'm trying to see if my friend can throw some fire.
Yeah.
She's a fire spinner.
Oh, some pyrotech.
Bruno Mars is playing Baltimore the same day we are.
No way.
So we got some competition.
Nah, you got
Slight competition.
You won't
There's
even
no
split the audience to get them all. Well, you guys are also playing some bigger festivals coming up. I'm going to read them right off of here. You got
Please.
Reading in Leeds in August, in the UK. Louder Than Life in September in Kentucky. Aftershock in October in Sacramento. I don't think I'm missing any.
Jason Fest. We're playing
Okay.
Jason
In
May.
a month.
Yeah, in a month.
Oh, wow.
That's why we couldn't play the
First
New Jersey show.
Wow.
Yeah.
We could have at Sugar Crisis.
Well, I mean, looks like you guys are all booked out. I mean, I remember hopping onto the page and being like, oh, what's next? And I just remember like, next on the story being like, okay, which one could I get to that's not like uber far?
Right. Even the back-to-back tours with the
Oh, yeah.
one with Space and Black Vapor, and now you're doing another tour. It just seems like a lot of performing.
Yeah, I
coming
never
up.
fully recovered.
Oh, man.
That was a sprint, a week long.
We did
sprint.
8 shows in a row.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've never done that before. Nobody's ever done that before. It's very
No
dumb.
one should.
It's a very stupid thing to do.
Well, that being said, obviously we've talked about genre earlier before, but now with all these different festivals and shows, we're talking about genres vasting from polar opposites. I mean, we're also dealing with a lot of other artists and sharing the stage with artists such as Guns N' Roses, Weezer, Foo Fighters, and The Killers. I mean, tell me.
Looking forward to it? Surreal?
It's wild.
Very surreal.
I think the Foo Fighters was like my moment where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're opening for them. Like opening for them. But like, you know,
We are.
Yeah. Give yourself credit.
Sure.
like, yeah, I listened to Foo Fighters probably the most out of all the bands I ever listened to when I was younger. So like that's crazy.
That's crazy. We get to see Paramore and a Jason Fest.
Well, that's good.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're excited for
Yeah,
you
no,
guys.
I'll make it to one of them.
No, yeah, it's gonna be
Come down to
wild.
Jersey. Oh yeah.
I mean, do you prefer one over the other in terms of
Like
we're
the
talking
festivals?
about like well, yeah, like a bigger festival versus like smaller bills with like maybe. Well, I mean, we're talking about 3 different. Like basement, like maybe you have like a stage with maybe 500, 100 people, and then we have like a whole festival with who knows how many people.
We've never really done. I mean, well, we've done festivals here and there. Like we did Slam Dunk in the UK last year. We did like Tree Fort and Boise and Shaky Knees, but those were kind of like already on a tour that we
Right.
were on. Like we played Shaky Knees and we were with Pup, and they got us on the same stage because we were on tour at the same time. So it's
Right.
like, okay, just throw them a bone. But these are like festivals that we got on our own, which feels really cool.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a different experience, and can't
Also,
really
I
say,
think
yeah.
Even with the other festivals that we've done, I mean, grateful that we've gotten to play them, but they're also like kind of like early on, like earlier in the day, smaller stage type
Yeah.
thing. So it really kind of felt familiar to us because
Right.
we were used to it felt like a 500 cap venue show type deal.
Right.
Don't know what to expect for these upcoming ones.
See.
I'm happy with whatever, but yeah, I mean, just excited to.
Nice.
Just looking forward to them in general.
Yeah.
Well, let's head into another portion that we haven't covered just yet. Alex, you may come in.
We have a very
finally
special member of the team here that you haven't met yet.
Yes.
He
At
has
least
an alter ego.
an alter ego. I will say though, hello, it's me again, Alex, your technical director, currently grappling with a local lowdown record of 13 sensor beeps in an
So
episode.
sorry. I know that's like my fault.
Shall go down in local lowdown history. This is
Is
groundbreaking.
it really?
You know
I'm
what?
so sorry.
It is
No.
okay.
We're
be
sorry,
fair-
FCC.
You've this one like is like right next to, but we've had a certain mini episode that one's never released because it's so funny. But people were inebriated. It was funny because we were interviewing them after their set, and like they were just off the charts. They were telling us like their address, like just like
Like a zip code and everything. Like there it was.
Shouting people
They definitely
out.
got it down.
That interview's been locked away in the vault for
it's so
a while.
funny. I love looking back on it because it's just like I'm sure for fun and giggles we could send it to them, but I was like, you know what? Let's not put it out for
I sent to them just so they could hear it themselves. We're not going to release that.
But no, yeah. I do all the tech stuff, the editing, but I do have another job here at the local lowdown. And that is being the certified merch gremlin of the group. I'm looking for band merch. I'm digging for it. I'm in the gold mines. I'm searching, and let me tell you, that record, that Love Me Forever pink record is looking beautiful, along with that matching natural sweatshirt. But I gotta ask, is there anything new coming in the merch line in the near future? Anything to look out for?
Merch or like music?
Merch Gremlin is strictly interested in all the merchiest business out there.
Physical media as well.
But just any new T-shirt designs coming in the near future, stickers, anything in the pipeline.
Yeah, so we have 4 new merch items for this Origami Angel tour. The first being a red Pinkshift shirt. It's a very simple shirt, kind of like a maroon red with Pinkshift, our logo, in white letters. We have a black tote bag with the Saccharin design, the Saccharin LP art on the tote bag.
Sweet.
We have some patches, some Love Me Forever patches.
I did see those, yes.
And we have a sticker. We are not profiting off of these stickers, but our friend Madison Schubert designed. Do you know what it's called? I know.
Oh, Mads designed a sticker for TDA, Trans Day of Visibility.
Okay.
So like, I mean, it's not like Pinkshift merch.
It's not Pinkshift merch, but
we were just gonna,
support.
yeah, you should support. Yeah, we were gonna, we haven't been able to do it yet because we've been just running around all over the place, but have them on our merch tables. Hopefully, be able to donate to mutual aid, if not organizations that benefit trans individuals in the states that we're playing, hopefully.
Right.
But like definitely it's like a fundraising thing. So yeah, because there's a lot of weird stuff happening in the world. And being from Maryland, we were actually pretty fortunate because they on Trans Day of Visibility, they passed a bill that like sanctions trans healthcare under Medicaid, like all trans healthcare under Medicaid, which one of our friends in Black Vapor is actually part of the legal process of and lobbying for. So we're just like, oh, we got to spread that love, we got to spread that Maryland love that we're feeling right now. So. Yeah. That's that item. That's in a nutshell. But yeah, we got a lot of new stuff.
Nice.
But we're also trying to get rid of a lot of old stuff so that we can get some more new stuff. Definitely towards the end of the year, where we have some more shirt ideas coming out.
Nice.
But
that is awesome to hear. Definitely happy to hear about this charity that you guys are donating to with the sticker profits. It's always very nice to see, especially at shows, if certain stuff's going to certain causes, and it's an excellent thing that I see artists doing all the time. And I know the radio station donates to a lot of causes, especially in the Western New York region. But it's really nice to see you guys doing that for your communities. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Merch Gremlin's very, very pleased with the merch lineup, I will say.
Hell yeah.
We shall see.
Oh, we also just repressed Saccharin for the first time in a couple years.
Oh.
So we have that on our merch tables. Yeah,
That's exactly
a new variant that has only been out on the merch table on the store that we're on right now.
You're talking his language, right?
You are.
I was like, yeah, I think you'd be into that.
No, to be fair, me and him were just talking yesterday, and he was like, yeah, this one only came out, because I was some like different type of variants of vinyl, and he was like, this one is only this variant. I was like, I feel like they would create different types of variants. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. We used to have like a blood splatter kind of thing, and now it's like a teal blood splatter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, can I say something? She'd kill me if I didn't say or give her a shout out. But I want to thank Carolyn in particular, because she was the one who first introduced me to you guys because I was writing for her. She has started For the Punk. She does like press releases and stuff like that. And obviously like artists submit their stuff to get written about. And I remember seeing you guys on there. Obviously, I think that paper was already in the works. But she was like, no, they're super great. You guys follow them. This was like a year ago when I started following. And I was just like, okay, no, they sound so cool. This would be great. And again, at the beginning of the semester, very rarely do, like, obviously reach out to, like, touring artists. It's on occasion where we're like, let's make it happen. Obviously, our mission here is to promote local music. On occasion, like, why not? Why would we pass up the idea or opportunity of interviewing other artists? But we're like, why not reach out? Because I remember I brought it up to these guys, and I was like, crazy idea. I was like, what if we reached out? I heard they're going on tour. They're going on a lot of tours, but like, why not reach out?
Yeah.
And most of the
Turns out
time,
it was only 8 minutes away.
but yeah, again, huge shout out to Carolyn because she's done a lot of the press release for or review articles for your guys' albums and songs. So she was the one who initially got me into listening to you guys, which was like a year and a half ago, which is crazy.
Nice.
But thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Carolyn's really cool.
That being said, let's talk about music now. Any upcoming musics? I think you're mentioning earlier, but any upcoming music for you guys in the future that we should look out for?
Yeah.
Is this where we spill it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, go for it.
I was just gonna say, to me isn't the only one.
Oh, yeah. Well, to me is part of a short EP that we have recorded already.
Okay.
And will be coming out later this year.
Wow.
To me.
The EP is not like the Saccharine EP, which is like a bunch of random songs just kind of slapped together.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's like more of like a trilogy. This next one, it's like each song has its own intention, purpose, vibe, like element to it. It's like they flow into each other. It's kind of like one big piece that we worked on together. We didn't really work on them as individual songs. So I'm really excited to share that, like starting to, like, we were like, oh, we could put it out all at once, but we're like, no, I think we need people to digest every song and really understand it.
Okay.
So yeah, it comes from like a very deep place, and we're super excited to share more about it as this year progresses. It's going to be out this year, but yeah.
Wow. And how many songs is it going to be altogether?
3 songs.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Looking forward to
Well,
it.
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Local Lowdown has the first.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but like
Secret
also I
information.
don't really.
You know
it's
what? That's
fine.
not the first time we're still like, I don't know if I should, but I will. And don't call me on
It
it.
has happened to us more than once, I will
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely follows the theme of To Me being like our first love song.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Well, that wraps up our questions. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on. Asking in general or sending out an email. Thank you, Jordan, for helping me with that. It was so out of the blue, and I was like, what are the chances worst they can do is not respond, And again, thank you guys for explaining a lot of the behind the scenes, the process, you guys touring, any background with like music in particular. I think this gave us like a really good gauge of how your music before kind of developed and now where it's progressing. But again, thank you guys so much for being on. This was
Yes, we really
absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
you stopping by,
Yeah,
talking
Thanks
about
so much for
everything at
having
length
us.
in so much detail.
Yeah, I
Really
appreciate
great
it.
stuff.
For sure.
We're
It was
talkers.
awesome.
It was a
gonna
fun
s-
time.
I was gonna say, I think we're so used to Zoom interviews because of the past 2 years, so this
Yeah.
is really cool. Awesome. Thank you
I
so
didn't
much
even
for
think.
having
I
us.
didn't even think about that.
We're
Yeah.
usually in a hotel room,
Yeah.
like in our
Really?
pajamas. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a different
Have
back
you
and
guys done
forth,
any,
obviously.
any radio
yeah.
work as of now?
I mean, we've like done like a really short thing at Slam Dunk Festival in the UK.
We've done some radio stuff, but I feel like it's all been through Zoom.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, again, pleasure having you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to conclude our episode of The Local Lowdown. Again, thank you guys for coming on. And take us away, Jordan.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Local Lowdown on 88.9 WCVF The Voice and the 89.5 WDVL The Inferno. We'll be back next week with some more sentimental
There we go.
local music. Same time, same place.
Goodbye, guys.